Welcome to another episode brought to you by Imagine Strength, the future of safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training equipment. Are you a HIIT studio owner looking for equipment that's not just top-notch, but also tailored to your specific needs? Imagine Strength is your answer. Inspired by the legendary Arthur Jones, Imagine Strength is revolutionizing the HIIT industry with their state-of-the-art yet affordable equipment. Their team doesn't just sell HIIT equipment, they live and breathe it. I've personally experienced their gear at the Resistance Exercise Conference, and let me tell you, it was an intense workout that I won't soon forget, in the best way possible, of course. So why choose Imagine Strength? Number one, they provide customized solutions for HIIT studios. Number two, they have budget-friendly yet high-performance designs. And number three, they're committed to innovation and excellence in high-intensity training specifically. Founder Jeff Turner and his dedicated team are on a mission to make HIIT accessible to everyone. Getting started is easy. Number one, visit imaginestrength.com. Number two, consult with their expert team. And number three, choose the equipment that will skyrocket your business. Don't wait. Head over to imaginestrength.com and elevate your HIIT studio today with Imagine Strength. Lauren still here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for elevating your HIIT business and fueling your passion for high-intensity training. This is episode 432, and today I have the founders of Strength Therapy in the UK, Peter and Brian Collins. So, guys, I might butcher this bio, but I'll do my best, and you can correct me after the fact. So, Peter and Brian Collins started buying equipment for Brian's Garage in 2000, and they both trained people in various guides since then, although it sounds like Brian's been training people a long time before that as well, actually, in various ways. They also trained people outdoors from the boot of Brian's car and even set up a gym in his front room for a while. They decided to pull everything together in 2018, took the plunge, and set up a training business under the name HIITworks. For the first year of business, they decided to change the name to Strength Therapy, deciding that they did not want to be associated with certain sections of what the HIIT acronym had come to represent. And we all know that's become incredibly cliche and abstract now. In that time, they've moved locations and expanded the building to accommodate the growth of the business, which is really awesome to see. Brian has also written over a dozen articles for Stuart McRoberts' Hard Gainer 2.0 online subscription magazine, and has been a regular contributor over the last year and a half, which is a particular thrill for him, as the original Hard Gainer magazine was a big influence on him, with the likes of Bob Whelan, Dick Connor, and Dr. Ken Leisner, I believe, in particular being a big influence on Brian and Peter and their training. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Long time coming. Great to have you both here now.
Thanks for having us.
How are you doing? You're very welcome. So I should have said this before we started recording, but I'll probably address you by name with questions. Otherwise it gets very confusing. But if either of you wants to jump in and butt in the other, that's fine too. So Peter, I was doing some research for this, and I love saying this stuff because I don't know, it's just fun to say. But on your Facebook profile, you publicly announced that you recently turned 50, and I cannot believe you're 50. Clearly, it's all about the training, right?
Clearly, yeah. It's all about the genes.
Genes, yeah, genes and
Good living.
That's right, and the training expresses those genes, I would like to say. So just give us a quick overview, guys, of how you both got into high intensity training. So Brian, maybe start with yourself, and then if Pete wants to add on, he can during and after your bit there.
We always, from being kids, had interests in weight training, and Rocky films and the Arnie films and things like that growing up in the 80s. The high intensity side of things maybe came around, I was probably mid-teens. So 15, 16, Pete was probably, Pete's 4 years older, clearly. And I think Stuart McRoberts' Brawn book and Mike Mensa were sort of big influences at the time. Dorian was becoming sort of well known in the gusty muscle mags that I think was still bought at the time. You mentioned Hard Gainer magazine we started subscribing to the original Hard Gainer magazine, and that exposed us to the authors who you previously mentioned and a few different ones. And I think pretty much from there, obviously Arthur Jones and Ellington Darden and the likes became came on our radar, and we sort of learned from there initially.
I'm always fascinated because obviously HIIT is still very niche. Although I do feel like it's somewhat growing in awareness, but I'm always fascinated by how people come across high intensity training, start reducing that volume. Based on what I've heard from you guys on other podcasts and things, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, that certainly your careers made it harder to do more traditional higher volume training. And maybe there was more that. No, no, go ahead, Brian.
No, I remember the first gym I went to. Pete had been training longer. I think I was 12 years old the first time I walked into the first gym, which was a local real spit and sawdust type of affair. 12, 13-year-old, and you'd walk in the changing rooms and there was someone getting injected. The backsides would be hanging out. The equipment was standard kind of stuff, not very well kept. The toilet, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Trainspotting, but the toilet was like the worst toilet in the world at the corner of the gym. Of note, at the time, when didn't realise, it was only years after once we started reading about Arthur and Nautilus, they had a Nautilus dual poly pullover and the original big triceps machine.
Oh, yeah.
In terrible state of repair. No one used them. And at the time, we just thought they were monstrosities for a bygone age. And then once we started to learn about that, both of us kicked ourselves because they've just been scrapped. So, I mean, at the time, Tales of War, I had a paper round, as you get £3.75 a week, and it used to cost £1 to trace. So bearing in mind, I wanted to go out and do stuff with my friends. I could only afford to go to the gym once a week. And to be fair, I'm sure it was from after Pete got the Brawn book. I'll never forget, he wrote me my first workout out, which was a once a week full-bodied training routine. Squats, stiff leg deadlifts, bench press or dips, shoulder press, pull down, a row, some arm work, obviously, and some carb training, and that was the full workout. So without realizing that we did that anyway, and it made sense, certainly to me, from reading Stuart Roberts' book, I think in the first instance, and training that way and seeing results. I saw results. So once I had a structured routine, 14, 15-year-old, I started to get comments, and at PE at school, my performance improved on a lot of things. Having never been really particularly sporty, like to play football and things, and run around, but that was it. So saw the benefit from there, and over the years, only on occasions have I trained 3 times a week. But my training life has always been pretty much twice a week.
Okay. And what about yourself, Peter? How did you first get into it? How did you get into kind of more of the kind of HIIT style of training? Is it a similar story?
Yeah, similar story. Out of necessity, couldn't get to the gym to train often, or financial skill problems, social problems, and all the rest of it, couldn't get there, which turned out to be a benefit. And then very quickly, you got to remember this is pre-internet days, and everything was about books and magazines and what you could pick up. And we were fortunate to come across articles that just resonated with what I was trying to achieve with training. Whether we like it or not, we have to accept it. It's a thing that we don't talk about. The drug scene within training is large, and it was abundant then just as much as it is now. And it was just not an area that we want to go down. It wasn't an area that I wanted to go down. So out of necessity, I realized that I wanted hard, but sensibly. And then as a consequence of that, I realized I couldn't train it often.
So you had sounds like you guys really had started with some strong fundamentals from the get-go. Is that accurate? Like you were exposed to certain resources that just kind of started you on that path. So it doesn't sound like you ever really went into the whole, like, 5 days a week, twice a day type of approach.
No, I never did. I never wanted to be a bodybuilder. That was the first thing. What I wanted was to be strong. I wanted to be brutally strong. But from those early days, um, with the limited knowledge I had at the time, I couldn't work out why you could be strong without being big. The correlation for me was always, no pun intended, but was strong between the two. You're only gonna ever be as strong as you were big, depending on your own genetic makeup. All things being equal. So that was the love affair. It was getting stronger, and it was the hard work. And then we kept seeing. I'm saying we because I used to share with Brian, and mind he was kind of like, 12, 13 at the time, maybe. We'd share these articles that we'd see. I think it was in kind of like, the bigger magazine, Flex and whatnot. But we'd see these adverts for Hard Gainer. And then we'd see the old article by Arthur Jones. Little did we know that there was actually quite a large Nautilus Centre over in the UK, in the Northeast where we are.
Okay.
We missed out on that one. That's probably just a story for another time. But so yes, the resources were somewhat limited. But we came across Hard Gainer, came across people like Dr. Ken Leisner, Dick Connor, started hearing about other people associated with those people while wheeling, and it took off from there really. We both had a love for education, for research. Didn't formally think of it in that way, but we liked to read, and the two things just grew hand in hand.
Do you know, I think it's quite fascinating what you said there, where Brian was saying about, the Nautilus pullover and those machines, which you'd looked at in a different way, you didn't understand. And then you gain all this knowledge, and then you realize, you think retrospectively, wow, those were like amazing pieces that we didn't appreciate. It's like knowledge gives you this new lens that you look at the world differently. So it's like that happens. It makes you think, what are all the things that I don't appreciate that I see every day, that just because I don't understand, I don't really know how great they are. I know that sounds really kind of esoteric and weird, but it's really profound to hear you say that, because I can totally relate. Because I would walk into Keys of Training in Mornington Crescent or Physical Culture in Putney when I lived in London, and I'd have this amazing appreciation for these machines, like, because they had all the medics, and Keys obviously have their own medics that they manufacture, and or similar, whatever you want to call them. And it's like you could see other people didn't care for them, didn't appreciate them. You know how it is. You walk into a space like that, and you've got all these other people training who aren't going anywhere near those machines. And you're like, what's going on? So I just find that very interesting. I'm fascinated to hear how, I understand, obviously, you guys kind of started the business or started to attract your first group of clients through the services, through various emergency services. And I'd love to hear how that journey started. Could you just talk a little bit about that? And Brian, perhaps start with yourself, and obviously I'll love Pete's take on this too.
Both worked within criminal justice, many years front line. 2000, I think it was. I'd graduated, and my first full-time job, as it were. Pete had bought a house. It was Pete who started the garage gym. Stole my thunder. Yeah. I remember when Pete bought the house, we'd been reading Hard Gainer and the likes, and we got, gyms at the time, certainly in the Northeast, certainly the ones that we'd gone to, there was a lot of criminality, shall we say, involved in those places. They weren't conducive to what we would call or consider hard training, and we wanted to adapt our training and, make it specific to us, and we wanted better equipment. So I remember the day Pete bought his first house, it had a standardized garage. And I looked at it, had the rafters and stuff, and I was like, this made a great gym, Pete. And straight away, as is usually the case when I have a good idea, Pete just dismisses it instantly because he's the older brother. And it was maybe a year or so later, convenient enough, when I started my first full-time job and had some money, um, Pete decided that yes, actually, it was a good idea, and would start buying some equipment um, for the garage. And at the time, it was for me, Peter, obviously, and another Peter, well, who's a former work colleague of Pete's, and is still to this day Pete's training partner, or one of Pete's training partners. And I think it started from there. I mean, I trained people in gyms when I was at university. You know, I had friends who sort of were interested in what I was doing. Some of my opinions in lectures and workshops were somewhat different based on my outside education of the time in terms of what training was and exercise, all the rest of it. And so they saw something in what I was saying and sort of tagged along for a little while.
Yeah.
And then I'll let Pete take it from there in terms of how we started.
Well, I should have said, because you studied sports science, didn't you? Which I forgot to mention. So that, just to give that context. No, but it's funny because I can imagine like you disagreeing with some of the stuff that was said there and then bringing in your own stuff.
I did, in my final year, I had to do a 10,000 word research project.
Dissertation kind of thing, is it?
Dissertation.
Yeah.
And obviously I wanted to do mine on something strength related, hypertrophy related. At the time I was pushing that anti-sarcopenia message. I remember pushing that in a talk that I had to give in an integrated physiology lecture. It got a lot of pushback from that. And I did my project dissertation on human muscle capability assessment, i.e. strength testing. Its specificity and how, the validity, reliability, but mainly the validity, external validity sort of interested me the most. What is strength when we're testing here? Why is it always a 1 rep max? Why do we measure intensity as a 1 rep max? It's not a valid. It has its purpose, but to me, it never made sense to use that. So I remember when I caught with the idea of what I was going to do, and I went to the head of faculty. We had to be assigned to a lecturer for the project, and the head of faculty, who was a keen ultramarathon runner, only interested in ultramarathon running and golf, because they would get a lot of money for any golf research. And his words to me were, there's no point in doing any research into strength training. It has all been done.
Oh, wow.
And this was in 1997.
How ignorant.
97, yeah. We've become quite pally with Jeff Casebold of Dynavac. And I relayed that to them, to Jeff over a call once. And he knows some good swear words. He couldn't believe that that's the sort of approach. And to us, and I'm sure to whoever's listening, they would kind of be shaking their head in disbelief as well. But that was the kind of status of certainly our university.
Awesome. And Pete, I think Brian nudged you there to resume the bit on that. But I was wondering, were you married or in any way engaged when you had the garage turn into the gym? And what was the reaction?
I was at that time, yes. Yeah. So the love of training was never going to go. And it was a case of how realistically do we continue training to the level that we were. We did well with training, but it was, how do you continue that when you're trying to, have some semblance of family life, working life, trying to build a future, so on and so forth. Shift rotated around shift work, not much sleep, etc., etc. So it was trying to find the most efficient systems that we could in order to continue to be successful with training and keep it balanced against the backdrop of the rest of your life. So that was the decision. And then it was kind of, okay, we'll build it up at home, and then and that, as Brian said, we're not equipment snobs. I like good equipment. I like being efficient, and but they're still just tools, and all tools can be used if used hard and effectively. So, and that was the mindset that really hasn't changed over the years. So we just started building it up, and I think the first main investment we made was for a hammer pullover machine at the time. Hammer was becoming accessible in the UK at that time, so we purchased that, and we got a Southern Excise true squat machine. Don't know if you know about Southern Excise.
I don't.
So we got that, and various barbells and dumbbells and so on and so forth. And it just grew. And then over time, we continued to reinvest. But to bring some context to what we were finding was, because of our training, and because of the area of work, the daytime work, it was gaining traction as to why we weren't getting hurt where other people were. Obviously, we're in a profession whereby people do suffer quite a lot of musculoskeletal injuries from day to day. The dings and bangs do add up and manifest themselves in various ways over the weeks, months, and years in that kind of profession. And people would asking questions as to why we weren't really getting hurt, and they were. And then we slowly but surely started bringing people around to our way of thinking in terms of what they need to do. And then we would give them some direction, and then they'd want to come to us. And at this point, we're not thinking this is a potential commercial entity, a commercial vehicle that could work for us as a sideline. Or
Because you were really just training each other and yourselves. So that was it. Yeah.
Continue to read, research, train, and that's all we were doing. And then we slowly but surely, through word of mouth, people started gravitating towards my house and to train. And
that all came just through, this is fascinating. So just through them. So, hey, Pete and Brian, they've never seemed to be injured ever. And they look a good knit, and they've been really helpful in just, sharing their opinion on what they do and guiding. So it sounds like you were really kind of leading with value for a while there. And then they started asking about training with you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And I think this probably resonates with most of your listeners who do any, training clients or their starting point. And you just get to show people that as an alternative, which is sensible, which has a degree of validity, and can forward. And that's all it was. The first guy we started training, and he's still with us 20 odd years on. He was a typical sports person, very high volume, wasn't into strength training, but was very much into his sports, and he was relentless with his sports. Every spare moment he had, he was doing one thing or another, but subsequently he was always injured. And once he came to us, he kind of had a bit of a light bulb moment. Now that guy is 65 now, and compared to his associates, friends, he's light years different as to how he moves, the energy he has, his viewpoint on life, and so on and so forth. His geography is different to other people of the non-training fraternity. And if I say so myself, that's just down to some of the change in direction he had via sensible, hard, progressive strength training.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fascinated about, because obviously you guys are, are you still, are either of you still in the police in any way, or are you completely left that behind now and just running strength therapy? What's the situation there?
We're still in it. And I often, when I listen to your podcast with Doug McGuff, smile, because the way he talks about the two things and how busy life is as a consequence, it clearly resonates with us.
Yes.
It is very similar in many, many ways.
Yeah.
But it does bring a smile to my face. Yeah. So this was the passion project, but it's became a full-time passion project. But yeah, two full-time things, very little sleep.
Wow. Hang on. So you're both full-time still in police?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
We do we're doing around 200 one-on-one strength training workouts a week.
200. This I did not know. Sorry, Brian, go on.
Sorry, just in Pete's defense, that idiot's still doing shift work. I've got a great job. I work within fraud and economic crime now, and we look at the sort of the more rounded protect, prevent, prepare kind of aspects. So I've got a pretty structured light now.
Are you basically saying, Brian, that you're desk based and Pete's basically running around catching villains? Is that what we're hearing?
And that's gone so. Pete's doing the stuff after the horse is bolted. I'm preventing it from happening. No, I'm not necessarily desk based. I am out and about a lot, all over the place. But I get to go to nice conferences and things. I've just had 3 days in Oxford. Yeah, it was an excellent learning experience.
How do you guys do that? I mean, you're both working 40 hours a week and then you're running the studio. I know you have a small team as well, but how is that possible?
You don't sleep.
You're just working all the time, right? You don't have much free time, I can see.
Yeah. We have very good partners.
Very understanding.
Yes. And very good children.
Yeah.
And they're all involved in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
We've developed and accrued a very good small team, which we're happy with. Little team of pirates.
Amazing. And do you mind if I ask what the plan is, what the vision is? Is strength therapy the long-term thing? And can you talk about that? You don't have to if it's not.
Yeah, strength therapy is the long-term game plan. A bigger premises is somewhere hopefully in the not too distant future. A center of excellence of sorts, something a bit more. I think, Brian, what we haven't settled on, what we haven't cemented is where we'd like to go in terms of the whole holistic approach. But one-on-one strength training is absolutely at the core value of what we do. And then just develop from there. Do we branch out into more centers? I don't know, but certainly get the hub sorted first. And then from there. We never expected it to. We've never formally advertised in any way, shape, or form. We do a little bit on social media.
That's fascinating.
You'll recall if you listen to the chat with the TNT boys, we talk about our frustration over website. We still don't even have a website, even to this day.
I was going to ask you about that. I must confess, I haven't listened to the entire podcast. So I don't think I've got to that bit yet. But I made a note here. I've got no website, ? What the fuck? ? Local SEO ? So you have got Google reviews. We have got Google My Business going, but
so we've got Google going, but we just don't push any of it. And we've just never had to, referrals from our customer base is what's got us where we currently are today.
Well, that's amazing because clearly you've got a great product. And if in the future you do need to start generating more inbound and more leads, and you can start cranking those other things. But the fact that you haven't had to do that is honestly, I was going to say rare. It's not rare. Like obviously there are a lot of our colleagues who do get that word of mouth, but there's a lot that also don't and who need to take a honest sort of a review of their own product and service to improve on that, I think. And that's kind of what Luke and I were talking about in a recent podcast, which it sounds like you might have listened to when you said the word passion project there, because
go
ahead.
Everything that a lot of the previous people that you've had on have said resonates, and I would agree with Luke absolutely wholeheartedly. The ones who focus on the product and on the customer are the ones that are going to thrive. And I think, more people need to be mindful of that, and then it'll take them a lot further.
Yeah. Wow. Great advice. So let's just step back again for a second here. So servicemen, emergency services. So it's interesting. You're kind of scratching your own itch, although you didn't do it for preventing injury in your day job. It was more, you're really into training. So you're training, but it was had that added benefit. But obviously that industry are going to trust you so much more because you know them, you are them, right? And so that's how it started, right? So what your first kind of 20 or 30 clients were all from there. And then you said emergency services. So was it like police, fire services and other services as well? And you started to grow
So
out that niche? Yeah.
yeah, so predominantly our marketplace was police officers and firefighters, uh, and then it developed from there. Our marketplace now, that part has diminished. We don't focus
Hmm.
in that sector now. Obviously, we still have a vested interest and do our bit where we can. Um, but as a commercial entity, it doesn't always work out. So we have branched them farther afield. Uh, but, but yeah, that's how it started. That was our main customer base.
But why wouldn't it be viable for them? I'm just sort of reading between the lines there. Is it because of the expense? It's for them investing in personal training. I mean, you're very, very reasonably priced from what I see.
Yeah, the notoriously tight-fisted. Yes,
Oh, I see your big plight. Yeah, it's. I mean, you guys know as well as I do that. As far as like
you
how,
have to
what's that? Sorry.
you have to let it go and just accept it is what it is.
No, that's a good mindset, I think. But I think what we'd all like to see change with all sorts of different groups of the population is where they rank their investment in health and fitness. Because I guarantee you, that a lot of these colleagues of yours are probably spending more down the pub, right? Than that in the space of 30 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think with a lot of clients across the board, we possibly haven't been their first choice of training, exercise. Um, we've got a lot of competition, and I mean, even with my friend, I've got long-term friends who know what I do and all the rest of it. And I think a little bit scared to come to the gym, certainly with me training them. And they compare us to one of the guys once said was, well, I go to a local, well-known chain gym, more than a leisure centre, I would argue. But he's like, I've got a swimming pool there, I've got a sauna there, and I was like, right, and are you happy? Are you getting what you want from it? And he said, well, it's great. I can check the kids, I can watch them, I can have a pint. All for cheaper a month. And I'm like, right, okay. I was like, so what investment in your health have you made with that? What improvements have you made? In all the time I've known you, you've been complaining about a shoulder problem, a knee problem.
Fair play to you,
like,
Brian. Yeah.
You come to my gym, I will guarantee you will not have that shoulder problem and that knee problem in 6 months. You'll be moving better and you'll be feeling healthier. And the penny dropped. Now, as it happens, that same guy, who, to be fair to him, has worked away a lot and is now settled a bit. I mean, it's only taken about 8 years, but he messaged me the other day and he's finally got rid of his membership to that other chain gym and he wants to start coming training with me.
Wonderful.
So we have that kind of, we like everybody, we have that competition,
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit is sexier. The local 24-hour gym is only, I don't know, £10 a month. And you can go whenever you like and you don't have to have someone, you don't have to make an appointment. All of those things are poo in the first instances until frustration from either lack of results, injury, or both.
Yeah. I loved the question you asked him though, which was, so he told you all the things he was getting out of it. Oh, it's got sauna, swimming pool, I can watch my kids, I can have a pint. And you're like, okay, so what investment are you making in your health? I think that's a great question because it's obviously taken you a while, but those are the types of, it's that childlike curiosity and constant questioning, which is the way to approach these types of people. And sometimes it might take days or weeks and a single conversation. Other times it might take years, but eventually many people will come around. But it's got to be with that way. It can't be, you're wrong, you're wasting your time type of approach.
It's, we sort of hinted at this beforehand and don't get me wrong, when I was at university and reading the Mensa and Jones stuff and, I remember in a lecture, literally having a shouting argument with a lecturer about how they were wrong about what overtraining was. All they were describing was a load of symptoms. But that's not overtraining, the classical, it's anything more than the minimum required, and it leads to all manner of issues kind of approach. And we would get guys in one of the gyms that we used to train at, come and want to train, they'd watch us, and we would get, not blow our own trumpet, but compared to the regular gym goers, we were certainly training harder than anyone else in there, and were as strong, if not stronger, on certainly what we would call the big lifts. So we'll get people coming up want to train with us, and my attitude was, right, you're getting smashed. You're going to get trained as hard. I don't care what you've done previously. You're getting trained hard, and if you don't like it, you're clearly not cut out for it. Mm-hmm. And you would do the explanations after. And I think with the wrong kid, he came to us, and I saw him in the gym the week after, and I was like, "Do you want us to train you again?" And he was like, "No, I never want to feel like that again. There's no need to have pain like that." And there was a big snobbery part in there. Over the years, it's not that I've mellowed as such, but that's sort of, and one of the reasons we stepped away from the HIT acronym is that snobbish, elitist kind. It's a turn off. It's not a turn on. It's pushing people away. What was this? There was a phrase I heard the other day. What was it? If you overcomplicate, you alienate.
Yeah.
And
it's like go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. I was all about that. It's like, oh, you don't understand. And if you're not sort of willing to come in and train as hard as you possibly can, then you don't deserve to be here. And now it's like, well, okay, don't get us wrong. We've got some people come in and they hit the ground running. They're there to train hard and they get it. Other people coax them along, baby steps, moves them along. Train them as hard as they feel they're capable of training. Let them sort of guide you to an extent, and be positive about it, and push it from there.
Today's episode is sponsored by Imagine Strength, the game changer in safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training machines. When it comes to HIIT, Imagine Strength is your go-to for intelligently designed, efficient, and affordable equipment. Their team is passionate about HIIT, and it shows in every piece they craft. So why are Imagine Strength the right choice? Number one, they tailor-make their equipment for HIIT studios. Number two, they provide cost-effective solutions for your business. And number three, they are committed to ongoing innovation and refinement. Ready to take your HIIT business to the next level? Visit imaginestrength.com to discuss your needs and find the perfect gear for your studio. Join the HIIT revolution of Imagine Strength and transform your workout experience today. Let's go. Yeah, I think you guys nail it from what I've heard and what I've seen in terms of tailoring the intensity to the individual. Like you'll have people come in who, maybe a bit coy, shy, haven't done much resistance training, don't necessarily want to work with a super high degree of effort from the get-go, and you'll kind of meet them where they are and then bring them up. And then you get people who are just complete nutters who you obviously have the perfect environment for, and you really tailor nicely that, which is good to see. Just in terms of you saying you guys do one-on-ones, 200 a week is a great number, by the way. And you don't do any small group, is that correct? And if so, what was the logic there?
So we're not against small group. I know that some of our colleagues across the pond do, and there certainly wouldn't be any criticism on our part. We're just in a position where we don't really need to do it. The thought process being, we want to make sure that from a quality assurance point of view, that individual who's with us at that given time is getting all of our attention. And that's what we grew from. That's what people know us for. In terms of the business, local market forces, et cetera, we can do it the way that we are doing it and continue to do it. We don't have any sleepless nights. So for as long as we can maintain it the way that we do, I don't think anything will really change. When the size of the unit that we're in, it doesn't really lend itself to small groups.
What size? What size is the unit?
We're kind of 140 150 square meters ish.
Okay. What's that in feet roughly?
Oh, I don't know.
I can Google it. Don't worry.
We'll Google it. But yeah, I mean, and the place is packed up with equipment. So
1,500, by the way. Roughly.
1,500. So it's packed up with equipment. There's more equipment coming. So right now it wouldn't be conducive to small. And I think we've just really fallen in love with just training one person per coach at any given time. So the way we do it is there's one client coming in. So there's 3 clients an hour. One client coming in on the hour, 20 plus and 22 per coach. And depending on how many coaches we have at any given time, will dictate how many clients we've got.
Right. Okay. No, I love this. And in fact, at Optimus Strength, our studio here in Galway, we just do one-on-ones now. Now we do one-on-one in the studio and virtually. I know you guys weren't necessarily a huge fan of the one-on-one virtuals. We had a bit of back and forth on that, which is fine. And, but yeah, I quite like the idea of just being focused on one-on-one because I love simplicity and it keeps the business model much simpler. Certainly in the beginning when you're scaling and you're growing and you can be like, right, we're just going to become amazing at one-on-one workouts and just really refine that and grow that. Sometimes I feel like, and I see it all the time, like having lots of options in your service offerings, it can be quite overwhelming. Because obviously if you introduce small group, you've got to decide, okay, how are we going to design workouts? How are we going to track things? How are we going to structure that in our, how are we going to price and package it and all the rest of it? So there is an added layer of complexity. Go on, Brad, you've got
Yeah, we doubled with small groups, people move like 3 people to one coach. And it's good. I mean, when I was doing the stuff out of my car, a bit of my car, that came about because Tuck Mudders had become popular.
Yeah.
And I decided to do one just for a bit of fun. Got a lot of abuse online from the hit groups at the time for doing that.
Really?
That sort of exercise. Oh, geez. Got a lot of abuse and name calling for that. Because I wanted to have some fun. So doing, I mean, that was like, there was a group of about a dozen of us. And you know what? It made me realize sort of popularity of things like CrossFit. It's much maligned, but one thing it gets right, I think, is the community aspect, the coming together, the joint purpose, the joint focus thing. And it's an attractive thing. It's a fun thing. It's enjoyable. And I know we're not allowed to say that about hard training. I know we're not supposed to enjoy it and all the rest of it, but we do. But you can
pay no mind.
We do. Yeah. You can enjoy what's sort of going on around it. And now, don't get me wrong, there is the odd occasion where even now we've got a number of couples coming to train, married couples and the like, and sometimes they'll want exactly the same time, and if there's not 2 sessions available, I have on occasion given them the option of training together. And all to do with that is we'll record every workout. We've got the sheets for everybody who trains, and we've got the weight and all the rest of it. I will do a break from the scheduled workout, and I'll make it a little bit fun. I mean, ideas from this came from Ed Harrison, and it's do something simple like a 3x3 workout. So maybe the first exercise is a leg press. Well, while say the husband is doing the leg press, I'll get the partner to do a static wall squat, something where I don't have to watch them, where there's no skill involved, and there's a very minimal risk of anything going on. And then it becomes a bit of a competition. So like you'll get the husband wants to do more and more reps because the wife's complaining that she's been kept in the static wall squat for too long, because it's obviously guided by how long the person who's doing the actual exercise that I'm supervising. So then swap that, and then it'll be, okay, we're going to body exercise. So maybe the next exercise that I'm monitoring is a seated row. The partner will then have to hold a static chin-up or pull-up position. And then if it comes to, say, a pressing motion, there's a third exercise They've got to get into a half press up position and hold that. And it's hard work. It's very hard work. It's very simple. It's very easy to do, and they're getting a hard workout. But one thing you touched on earlier is that it becomes a sort of complexity in the pricing and things like that. And we found that it's like, okay, we've got this avenue that we want to focus on and go down the one-on-one route. But if we offer this, are we diluting things? So it's just across the board. You're paying for the session, you're paying for our expertise, you're paying for our time, you're paying for the use of our equipment, etc. You will get what we tell you to do, and
100%.
It's worked fine. It's worked better.
Yeah.
We're always busy just trying to make it the whole process as frictionless as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, great mindset. So I'm curious, have you found couples that train together, have you found the impact that has in a relationship? Because I think for most couples, that would be really quite profound, like going through that kind of crucible together, kind of bonding. Do you see that?
That's a tough one. I don't know.
Bit of a curveball, that gentle there.
Yeah.
You don't have to name names, obviously. I'm just curious if you observe that.
There's good-hearted. Again, I don't know how we encourage any kind of childish manner. Yes, we are very professional and brutally hard, but with the caveat that we do have a childish mentality. And as we said earlier, before this started, we have a very dark sense of humor. And our clients get to know us and we get to know them, but they certainly get to realize what kind of humor we have. And they are relaxed amongst themselves as a consequence of that. So certainly in terms of their own personal relationships, I would, observationally, I would say it's a very positive thing. We've probably got a 50-50 mix, actually. Some of the partners always religiously come together to train, and then the other 50% train in separate times. It's probably the 50-50 split.
Yeah, some of them, it's their own thing. They don't want to, share that time. They want it's their own time. I get that.
Yeah, I think it's more often than not, probably down to work commitments.
Sure.
Anything.
Yeah. Brian, what were you going to say?
No, sorry, I was just going to say, it's like, I think the ones who do it tends to be a scheduling thing, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, they come in, I think they appreciate seeing what the effort the partners are putting in. I think the possibility is I'd never really considered that sort of side of things, but I mean, I just recently listened to, I think it was the last Doug McGuff podcast you did.
Okay.
And he was talking about the overlap, going back to that thing about building the community within the gym. Personally, I think having that overlap's priceless. I know some people like to have, I thought it'll be booked in for sort of 7:00. And the previous client, there has to be like a 15-minute window between them so the clients don't see each other and all that kind of thing. If that works for you, great.
Yeah.
We've developed, I like to think a community, and people come in and, as someone who's just trained is leaving, person who's just walked through the door, pats them on the back, gives them a thumbs up, gives it a, you went for it there kind of comment. And to my mind, that's extra validation, it's extra support and positive reinforcement for
100%.
for the brutally hard work that's just being done. I see nothing but good in that. Don't get me wrong, we've got some clients who just come in, head down, head out, and that's great as well.
Yeah, I can relate to all of that. Just, I'm really curious how you guys complement each other. Am I right in saying that? And I'm not saying that, Brian, you don't possess the business knowledge, but I get the feeling, and I think you and I have spoke about this on Facebook, that that Pete is more the business and you're more the training. Am I right about that, or have I got that totally wrong?
Can I answer this one? Yeah, go on. Arguably, yes, I am the one with the business. We're both, I would say, equally trainer and training.
Mhm.
But Bri is more so the research.
Right, it's a great complement each other well.
It's very much. And I will say this, I will actually say this on air. I might have actually said it before. we complement each other very well. And one of the most positive aspects of developing this business is the fact that we work together, and we have done very well on the time that we've done it. So there you go.
I mean, we you know, we have our moments, shall we say?
Of course.
We're both quite
Two gorillas fly.
stubborn and stroppy at times with each other. But you may take this the wrong way. I obviously know Pete very well, and he obviously knows me very well. I think the one thing I will say from the business side of things is that if you're going to have a business partner, know your business partner, know your strengths, know your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Could I do the business side of things? I believe I could. Do I enjoy doing it? Do I thrive in it? I certainly do not. Now, this is it may seem a backhanded compliment, but it's a compliment nonetheless. I know Pete's more of a control freak than I am. Pete's got to have all his ducks in order and have this organised, and he's got to know what's going on. I am somewhat more laid back, shall we say, about things like that.
Listen, I think would be term that we
Yeah.
use.
Yeah. Absolutely. But we know that about each other. So, and ultimately it works. And I think there is something in that, don't get me wrong. If you're a lone wolf and you're doing it all yourself, great. But if you want to expand things and let's say take on a business partner or a working partner or something like that, then just know them, but not, I think, know your own strengths and weaknesses as well, and be brutally honest about it.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
A good filter for this is like, what are the things that bring you energy and detract from your energy, right? And I think we all kind of figure out as we go through this process what those things are. We just know it intuitively, or we learn about that intuitively. And it sounds from what you're saying that when you get into the nuts and bolts of the business, Brian, even though you might have the aptitude, you're like, this doesn't really get me going. I just like really learning about training and training people. Whereas Pete seems to not get that same reaction to those things, is what I'm hearing. Is that accurate?
Go on. And yeah, pretty much. You know what? Doing the tax returns and collating
Well,
numbers.
no one enjoys that.
Some people do.
Fair enough.
If it was, if I was a lone wolf flying solo, I dare say I would pick in for service. I'd pick in someone for that service.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, but I don't need it because that over there loves to count the money.
Excellent. Great. That's a beautiful partnership you guys got there. So tell me, you said there you had to kind of move away from the kind of police slash sort of emergency services avatar, and partly it sounds like because there were maybe other groups that were a better fit. But I'm curious, what does your target market, if you kind of have one, look like now for the business? Now, I will caveat that for you by saying you guys clearly are passionate about helping anyone. I get that. But in terms of like for the business listeners out there, who do you sort of try and market to or focus on?
So I was going to say we try to strike a middle ground. What we try to do is provide an accessible personal training service for anyone, irrespective of their own financial means, to be able to use. Where the service has grown is in relation to probably a lot in the way that we communicate things, and a lot in terms of the way the research has progressed over the last 10 to 12 years or so, in conjunction with the equipment profile that people have. So what do I mean by that? So we have a very strong professional viewpoint. Physiotherapy and strength training are pretty much one and the same thing, and that the future of the future of physical therapy is strength training. We've agreed on that for as many years as I can remember, but we've just never had the tools or the means to be able to crystallize that idea, whereas we do now. So what we're finding, whilst we've still got a large, faithful contingent of trainees who come to us for the weeks, months, and years because they understand that it improves all the quality of life markers that have been discussed to an nth degree on the likes of this podcast. But they also now understand that a stronger body is a less injured body, and someone that has the tools to be able to strength train certain parts of the anatomy that are injured, on the proviso that they have good tools, can improve the speed of their recovery or improve their recovery post surgical procedure and so on and so on. So that's kind of like the little caveat I would say to your question. I think that's where it's changed a little bit for us.
Okay. So what does the client base look like now? Like, can you give us kind of an overview of the type of people you're training, type of issues you come across, etc.?
So, I mean, our youngest client, the youngest client is my daughter, but we actually have we have teenagers coming to us now. Our oldest client is 86, I believe.
Right.
We've got everything in between. And so what was the other part of your question?
No, it was just that really. It was just to give you an overview of the different
Yeah.
age brackets and types of people you work with.
So, yeah, we'll help anybody in any given which way that they ask us to help them, really. But what we do is for us, there's an integrity issue in terms of explaining to people what is possible and what isn't. So, we'll all be aware that body composition is still pretty much the mainstream thing at the moment. Why do you go to a personal trainer? Certainly in the UK, I can't speak for the world, but certainly in the UK, why do you go to a PT? Because I want this 8 to 12 week transformation. But what does that entail? It's to do with a calorie deficit and some strength training. Wow, light bulb moment. big deal. That's something that we will help people with. It's not a driver. We try and push them deeper than that, to think further than that. We explain that diet, nutrition isn't. We think PT should stay in their own lane unless they're suitably qualified, and the need we express to people quite explicitly, really, the need to focus on nutrition and not the training aspect of that. And people shouldn't sell training services when it's the nutrition side of it. Mm-hmm. I'm digressing a bit, but it's fine. The communication that we have when we get new clients. So they'll come to us for one thing, and then they'll realize, well, I've come here for this because I'm 30 pounds overweight, but actually, my lower back's hurting, and I've heard you can do things with lower backs. The shoulder's hurting, and you have a look at it, and it's actually the rotator cuff, and you've got a rotator cuff machine. Can you put us through that? And then the trust and the communication develops, and it grows from there.
Yeah. And do you sell any kind of so you don't sell any kind of nutritional services? You might just give your 2 cents on the main levers to pull there and then lead them to it and just focus on the one-on-ones?
So really, sorry, go on, Brian.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, we give advice. I mean, in terms of what the clients pay for, they pay for the one-on-ones, they pay for the sessions, they pay to be in the gym. If someone has issues or they want nutritional advice, we talk to it if we have spare time after a workout. If there's not another client, or there's enough coaches in elsewhere, we will discuss things. I think we both make it very clear that neither of us are qualified dietitians. And yes, we've read and got a certain degree of formal education to an extent, but only in terms of the very basics. And again, I mean, I'll maybe push towards the more behavior side of things, and looking at out of gym habits and things like that. That's impacting on health as well. I cringe every time I hear a HIIT trainer say, "Oh, all you need to do is 1 or 2 strength training workouts a week, and it solves everything. It cures everything, and you're going to be as lean as you need to be, and you're going to be fit and healthy as you need to be, and all the rest of it." Well, no, that's not strictly true, is it? And we will, we'll communicate via text. I tell people text. because invariably I won't answer the phone. I'm busy elsewhere, and I can reply to a text in my own time or a message or whatever platform it is.
Yeah.
And we'll give advice, and I'll direct people to research or books. Most of the time, they don't want to be directed to that kind of thing. They want you to summarize it for them, which I'm happy to do, with the caveat, of course, that this is my opinion. This is my opinion based on my education, my years of experience, of course. But there are people out there who would disagree with me, and there are people out there who disagree with me because of this, and this. So it's that kind of approach, and that doesn't, for me, that doesn't matter whether it's the nutritional side, or whether it's, like I say, a lifestyle issue, a health concern, a musculoskeletal issue, or anything of the sort.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay.
And you guys have some pretty amazing equipment. Can you give us an overview of the pieces? I mean, it sounds like you've got the best facility, I guess, at least how we would see it in the high intensity training space, and how we grade, I guess, equipment. You seem like you have some really nice equipment in the space. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I think you're trying to catch up on you. You're doing quite well.
Yeah. No, we've got some good pieces. Yeah, certainly. I mean, Ireland's even more behind, right, in terms of availability of this kind of stuff. So yeah, we're doing our bit. We're doing our best there.
There's certainly some guys, Middle England way, who are doing well with equipment as well. But yeah, I think it's back in the forefront, and it's back at the front of where it needs to be in terms of equipment profiles. And I think we will admittedly say that our building is the thing that now needs to change, but the equipment when we started, certainly in the building that we're in now, we were very clear in our mind, if we had the right equipment profile, they would come, build it and they will come, so to speak, feel the Greek and all that. So, and I think the stars aligned a little bit to the right amount of Nautilus equipment. The communication challenge with getting Medex equipment was happening, and then quite fortuitously, we managed to get in touch with Dynavec and get at some of their pieces, and it's grew from there. So our gym now is predominantly Medex with Dynavec pieces and some pendulum equipment from Rogers Athletic.
Mm-hmm. A couple of Nautilus pieces, and we've exchanged pieces along the way. Pieces have been and gone. On a completely separate note, I will digress and say that nobody believed our exit strategy from the business when we tell them this. Our exit strategy is simply to accrue as much kick-ass equipment as we can, so that when we do actually retire, all the equipment just gets moved to our respective houses. And that is solely what our exit strategy is. Nothing to do with money. It's nothing about accruing our first million or, getting a fleet of cars. It's simply accruing as much brilliant equipment as we can to put in our own houses.
I literally thought you were about to say it's just to really help maximize the value of the business, so that when we sell it, we make a whole bunch of money.
No, honestly, to be blunt, we couldn't give a shit about that.
Fair play to it. That's great. What would you have the Gladiator instead of the your favorite armchair? Would you? I mean, where's it going to go? Where are all these pieces going to go, guys?
Won't go anywhere without the Gladiator. I think
I've got extended garage.
Fair play.
I think there's 3 or 4 Gladiators in the country now, and I think, and I know that at least 3 of them that are in are due to us having ours, and that is an understated piece of equipment for sure.
Yeah, excellent. So one thing I really want to get to before we wrap, guys, is just your workout designs. Like, I heard you say that you have basically an ABC routine set up twice a week. So when someone joins you, they get an ABC routine and they're training roughly twice a week on average. Is that still the case? And if so, I'd love to hear your process for designing those ABC routines for your clients. Maybe you could give a common scenario. Brian, I'd put that to you, and then obviously Pete, feel free to comment as well.
It depends on the client. I mean, we've got some people train once a week, some twice a week, some 3 times a week. What I'll say about the people who train 3 times a week is the middle workout. We tend to treat as an ancillary workout. So that'll be neck work, some crunches, some forearm work, grip work, maybe some calf work. Maybe the medics lumbar or rotary torso, depending on how the rest of the workout's designed. Yes, the majority of people do train twice a week, and yes, the majority do tend to go on an ABC workout, depending on how long they've trained with us.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days of their training and their development, we probably start with just an AB routine, develop the skill base, a confidence base, a strength base. And then if you get clients who are training hard according or brutally hard according to their capabilities, I think that the ABC format over the twice weekly workouts, it adds a degree of respite. People like to dramatize the brutality of some of the pieces of equipment. So off the top of my head, we've got a duo squat, not this duo squat.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we put that in every workout, I don't think people would be happy and willing to come back, or would certainly come in as enthused as they normally do. So having 10, 11 days in between using that piece of equipment, it allows people to sort of ramp back up to it. I mean, it'll be 3 full body workouts that they do, and it might be in the next workout we've got the Rogers Secret Squad Pro leg press. So we're still working really hard on that. We tend to have a mix. Some people prefer to use the dual squat. Some people prefer to use the Rogers squat. So it sort of it weighs up and gives a degree of extra motivation. And then in the third workout, for example, we may do something more pre-exhaust. Well, we use pre-exhaust quite a bit, to be fair, in various formats. But it might be that the third workout will be, say, leg extensions we've got the Rogers squat machine, or maybe that just do a freestanding squat of some kind, or maybe that they go back onto the leg press. For example, we do try to be client defined. Yes, the workouts are invariably full-bodied workouts. Some people will put the hip and thigh work at the beginning of the workout. Some people will put it at the end. Some people will stagger it over the course of the year. So they may start the year off training the hips and thighs at the beginning of the workout, and they may just gradually put it later and later in the workout, depending on how strong they're getting and how hard that work becomes. Over the course of the 2 or 3 workouts, whatever we do, we look for a balance. So, if we're doing a push in a sagittal plane, there'll be pretty much an equal, maybe slightly biased towards sort of the back muscles, but there'll be a pull in that plane as well across the course of those 3 workouts. If there's if there's an overhead press, there's got to be an overhead pull over the course of 3 workouts. How we design it just depends what fits with the person and fits with the individual. We do have sort of routines written. Well, obviously we have the routines written out for the client, and sometimes Pete and I will make a decision on whether to change something within that routine, depending on what the results have been and what the motivation's been and client feedback. But some clients have got maybe 8 to 12 exercises in a workout. Some clients 5, 6.
8 to 12 in 20 minutes. That's tight.
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was 20 past the hour, 22.
So they get a half hour slot. So say someone comes in at I don't know, 8 o'clock.
Right.
What we do is it's like, right, we do ask people to do a warm up. For no other reason they want them prepared. If someone's coming in the evening, they've been sat at a computer all day, they're not firing on all cylinders. They need a few minutes preparation time, and they do just something very basic. They do something specific to what they're going to be doing that day. Maybe it's a light set of leg press or 2 light sets of leg press. If they're doing an overhead press, they'll do 1 or 2 light sets of overhead press, that kind of thing.
Okay.
and then they're good to go. In terms of coaching time and work, the workouts will last a maximum of 20 minutes. Some clients, the workouts last around about 8-10 minutes, depending on what they're doing that day, how hard they've trained, how enthused they are, how motivated they are, and just what they're capable of at that time. We always say that we are, or I always say, we are brokers in effort. Your performance will take care of itself. All we want from you is to come in prepared, ready to work as hard as possible, and we will take you to that point. Your performance over time is what we want about. We will let you know if your performance is going up, and we will change it accordingly if your performance doesn't go up over time. Whether that's, and we'll look at 3 months, 6 months, yearly intervals. I appreciate I've gone around the doors a bit there, but
Not at all.
it's essentially it's full bodied. There'll be some compounding in there. Yes, we use some single joint exercises in there as well. We use various methods. I think I'm safe to say, I don't think people disagree. We are very keen on negative emphasis and negative overload type of training in its various guises. But I mean, we use other methods.
And have you found the negative accentuation or the negative overload is great for people that aren't very good at bringing forth a ton of effort concentrically?
It's a great tool to use. So I mean, I know there's a lot of people say, "Oh, the negative's the easiest part of the exercise," and all the rest of it. It's like, well, yes, it is at the beginning of a set. The first negative you do in a set is a different animal to what you're doing in the very last repetition you can do. Now, use a chest press as an example. You've got someone who gets that last rep, and they're giving you all the signals that they're not going to be capable of getting the rep and all the rest of it, making it an extra struggle for them to lower that, slow it down, and really sort of pile on, get that extra bit of a head out of them. Now, it may be that you've got someone who could have potentially gotten another rep, 2 reps, 3 reps, perhaps. But you're squeezing that extra effort out, safely I might add, by getting them to do a 20, 30-second negative or whatever it is they are capable of. Add a bit of a pause in there and tell them to hold it at the midpoint and watch them fight and struggle to hold it at the midpoint. Now, if you said to them, do another rep, that fight would go, the enthusiasm, the motivation just wouldn't be there. We're squeezing out that extra work at the end of a set. And while, we sometimes use partial ranges at the end of a set, let's say statics, negatives, whatever is suitable, practical, and safe at that time.
Got it. Okay. One thing I still don't quite understand is how are you fitting in? So are these 30-minute or 20? I mean, you said it's 30 minutes with, if you include the warm up, it's about 30 minutes per person. But how does that work if it's 20 on the hour, 20 past the hour, 22 the hour? In terms of, go ahead.
That's their start times on the hour.
Oh, but it will run past that.
Yeah. So
I see.
that's a 22. We'll be finishing kind of 10 past. With that 10-minute crossover period is a generic warm-up period of time for those client. And then when we get them, we might do some class-specific warm-up with them, depending on how the complexity of the movement that they're doing. So if they're doing a squat or a deadlift, which, that would be tough for the time as to the merits of, but especially within the HIIT community. But if they're doing something as complex as that, then you do want to do some skill-specific work. And they need to do it under the tutelage of that coach. So, all it does is it makes the work efficient in terms of time, so that by the time we get to them, they're more or less ready to go, other than that caveat for a small amount of specific work. And then we can just go straight into it. And, I think like most of your listeners, the studio is very efficient in terms of its layout, in terms of the equipment profile that it has. So we can go from one set to the next very, very effectively. And the moving, at the termination of each set, they're moving within 10 to 20, 30 seconds onto the next set. So we get a lot of work done within a very confined, tight period of time.
Yeah. Excellent. Great. Do you ever find it's pretty hard to get, 10, 12 exercises in a 30-minute period? Does that ever seem like a struggle for you guys?
I think it just depends on the individual. we've
Yeah.
pretty much got it sussed as to who needs that. There's a lot of variance between the individual to individual, as we all know.
To be fair, Brits talk a little bit less than the Irish. The Irish can talk.
Again, I think this comes with the mindset that we've established. People do, and we've got something written on the wall in relation to.
Right.
And it's coarse, but it is very polite. You know, don't interrupt clients who are training. You're paying money for a service. You're here to allow us to get the very best out of you. You know, shut up. We're going to train, and then
I love it.
if there's time to,
Very Doug Holland of you.
if there's time to relax, we will do that at the conclusion of the session.
Yeah.
And you know, we have peaks and troughs throughout the day, so it depends on what given day it is. So I've said this to Brian many times. On a Saturday morning is so on a Saturday we coach people from 8 a.m. till midday, but there's usually around 3 to 4 coaches in, and the only joviality that's taking place is the communication between the coaches, bouncing back and forth, basically, to be blunt, taking the piss out of the clients who are getting drove into the wall. And but it is absolutely the best day because it's we have a lot of fun that day.
Sounds like you've created a great culture.
Yeah, it's just about the culture and the atmosphere that you're trying to generate, isn't it?
Yeah. One last question before we wrap, guys. I'm really curious if, obviously you've listened to a bunch of my stuff. You've heard from a lot of our colleagues in the US. I'm always curious about this cultural difference. Like I've tried to really develop a good understanding of the culture in Ireland in terms of growing a business here and dealing with people here. And, the Irish, for instance, I'm generalizing here, but wouldn't be as forthcoming talking about money as quickly or work as quickly as, say, the British would be. And I'm sure there's lots of reasons for that. I don't really know why. I have some opinions, but I've tried to be thoughtful about, how I come across and sort of adapt to the culture here. And obviously it's different in the US, it's different in England. In terms of like growing the high intensity training business in the UK, have you found, you've heard me say or guests say stuff that has worked well in the US and you thought that would work here? Or what have you found that's different about growing the business in the UK, if anything, that comes to mind for you guys?
Do you know, we are not business people. We didn't establish the business. We didn't have the mentality of establishing the business to make to provide security for our lives and our lifestyle. So it's probably, I can't speak for everyone, but it's because I think we are process driven for sure, but we are not financially driven. And I've told you our exit strategy from this business in 20 years time is solely to accrue as much equipment as possible to put in our own homes. And in 20 years time, if you ask me that question, you are still going to get the same answer.
We'll see.
So
we'll see when someone offers you a massive paycheck.
and to be fair, I mean, the people that we engage with the most, who are very good friends of ours in the UK, obviously Ed Harrison and from Vital. I mean, one of the best gyms and training facilities in the UK. And if you haven't been there yet, Lawrence,
which one's that? Sorry, who's that? Where's that?
Ed Harrison.
Oh, Ted Harrison's facility. In where's the location again? It's
no, now you put me on the spot.
That's all right. We'll link it. Ted Vital Exercise
down south.
Yeah, down south, somewhere down south. We'll link it up in the show notes of this anyway, so it's all good. Yeah. Ted, you won't be missed. Don't worry.
And Sophie and Matt, and we have these conversations about business, and you know what the commonality is? Everyone is doing well. If you want to use that as a metric, then everyone is doing well.
Sure.
That's certainly the metric that I would use. Everyone is able to rise, put food on the table, pay their bills, and have a good lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I think like-minded people over here are not that fussed over. This is a $500,000 business, so we're making $1 million from this, and we need to, we need to scale, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. That's just not. That hasn't been our process so far.
Sure. So what you're saying is that Brits are less ambitious than Americans.
I wouldn't say less than 10.
I'm messing.
Yeah, we can squat more than them. How about that?
It is, yeah. Well, that's a big claim. It is definitely a thing where you listen to like on a podcast with America's Talking Business. They talk such big numbers because obviously the population differences. The numbers are like what? Like sometimes it's crazy when you think you can't really relate to the numbers people talk about, the millions and all this sort of thing.
We do have some very affluent clients and they do a lot of big business, and they do, and actually it's a few of them who do a lot of big business in America too. And the kind of thing that they're talking about and the stratosphere that they're hitting is very different to what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's a cultural difference of sort of the other side of the pond, but I think we're in the bracket where we love training. It was the training first, and the business had to come, and it sort of blossomed out of that. Now, I think from some of the guys I see over in America, and I'm not criticizing by any stretch of the imagination, but it seems to be the one to have the business and that the training is the tool in order for them to be successful at the business.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the business side of things is what I need to be successful as a trainer. And to me, being successful as a trainer is having people who are coming back. I love the fact that we've got people who we've known for 3 decades coming up, coming back training. They bring their families, they're telling friends about us, and they're coming to us with complaints, and we're resolving those issues. And to me, success is, I still love reading about on this kind of thing. I still love to listen. I listen to podcasts. I want my education to push on, and I still love going into the gym. People say like, "Oh, what's it like working 2 jobs?" And it's like, well, technically speaking, I only work 1 job. It is a total passion project, and it's a cliche of do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, it's not. You know what I mean? I'm happy. Yeah, it is. It is. I'm happy as a pig in shit. I'll say it was when I'm training someone. If I've got an issue with theirs to resolve, or they're getting results, or they come in happy because I've noticed a bit of muscle here, or they're a little bit leaner, or the played 5-a-side football and they managed to go through the whole match without having to hobble off. I love hearing things like that. So to me, that's success. The money side of things, I'm not going to. Of course, I like having money and and all the rest of it. But I am not. I'm not pushed by the numbers. I'm quite happy where we're at. If extra money comes along, great. But as long as we can continue doing what we're doing, to me, that's success. And I don't know if that's a British American thing, because you mentioned Doug earlier on, Eric McKay, we're partly with, and all the rest of it. I'd say there's a sort of a similar.
Yeah, very much so. He would have a similar vibe. Yeah. Well, gents, just realized the time, and I'm again so grateful for both of you taking the time yourselves. I know that you've got stuff you need to do as well. What's the best way for the listeners to find out more about you? Where should we send them? Is it Facebook mainly or Instagram? There's actually a website now.
No, there's not.
Okay, right. So what is it? Instagram and Facebook?
Instagram.
Is it? Yeah.
Instagram, or email us at strengthreinfo@gmail.com.
Gmail. Jesus, guys. Okay. So we're going to have to talk about this website another time. But no, it's interesting actually. Like sometimes you're better off, but building a great product, serving customers best you can before you start investing in websites. That is definitely the case. But in terms of where you guys are at, you should definitely have a website now. But yeah, we'll link to that as well from the blog post. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much for making the time. And for everyone listening, to get the show notes for this episode, please go to highintensitybusiness.com and search for episode 432. And until next time, thank you very much for listening. Welcome to another episode brought to you by Imagine Strength, the future of safe, simple, and effective high-intensity training equipment. Are you a HIIT studio owner looking for equipment that's not just top-notch, but also tailored to your specific needs? Imagine Strength is your answer. Inspired by the legendary Arthur Jones, Imagine Strength is revolutionizing the HIIT industry with their state-of-the-art yet affordable equipment. Their team doesn't just sell HIIT equipment, they live and breathe it. I've personally experienced their gear at the Resistance Exercise Conference, and let me tell you, it was an intense workout that I won't soon forget, in the best way possible, of course. So why choose Imagine Strength? Number one, they provide customized solutions for HIIT studios. Number two, they have budget-friendly yet high-performance designs. And number three, they're committed to innovation and excellence in high-intensity training specifically. Founder Jeff Turner and his dedicated team are on a mission to make HIIT accessible to everyone. Getting started is easy. Number one, visit imaginestrength.com. Number two, consult with their expert team. And number three, choose the equipment that will skyrocket your business. Don't wait. Head over to imaginestrength.com and elevate your HIIT studio today with Imagine Strength.